Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I would ask the board to recognize that I would ask the board to recognize that I could abstain from this vote from a potential conflict of interest. But I have engaged in some work activities with this company, and I just don't think it would be right for me to cast a vote on this project, and I would ask for the board to recognize that.
We will. Thank you, Mr. Yow. Is there? There is a motion on the floor to excuse Mr. Yow from participating here because of a potential conflict of interest. Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
If there's no discussion on that motion, I'd like to just vote on it. Will the clerk?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Our policy calls for a direct and specified financial interest. I'd like that explained and make sure it meets that criteria.
Well, I think
I don't have a problem with telling him.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. I don't have a problem. I have worked on the project, engaged in well drilling activities, pump test activities to help promote and push this project through. And it could be a potential conflict of interest to some other parties or whatever. And I think that, you know, it's just better to let the public know that I have been involved in this project and I would like to abstain from it.
But I would think that unless this vote is going to affect you financially, then you really can't abstain.
Well, being that I have received funds and could potentially do more work on the site, it would be the ethical thing to do is to abstain.
Yeah, but they're going to build this project whether we vote on this one way or another. Isn't that right, Chester Brown?
It's under construction at this time.
Well, it is under construction at this time, but in the future there could be additional work to be done, and we have engaged in this activity, and we just feel like the public needs to know this, and to be on the upfront. You know, I certainly don't want to be challenged tomorrow at saying, well, we seen you out there drilling the well, now you voted for or against this. Then, you know, and I just think that it would be more the right thing to do.
There is a motion on the floor to...
Mr. Chairman, just one other thing. I appreciate that, and I think you've been up front with the board and the public. I'd like to ask our attorney, is that a direct financial conflict? You know, I don't think it is because it doesn't affect what you make, how this board votes. And I think it's important that we, as commissioners, you know, state when we have potential conflicts, but unless it's a real... Our rules are clear, a specified financial interest, which I don't think that you have in this, that you should vote.
The statute and your procedure policy says that that a Board of Commissioner members must vote unless they have a direct financial interest in the vote. And that's the law. Whether or not what Commissioner Yow has described constitutes a direct financial interest or not is a determination of fact, and frankly I don't think that's my call. I think that's you guys' call. So you've had the debate, and you can and sometimes you can recognize a conflict by consent, which is in your policy. Sometimes you can do it by a vote. Since there's a debate and a discussion on that, I think the vote is to determine the board's decision whether or not they think that the potential conflict as described constitutes that direct financial interest or not. Frankly, I think that's a fact determination. So I think that's in effect the board's call.
Mr. Austin.
The reason I brought this up as far as a motion, that in our ethic or our training, it says that we should vote as a board to do this. It's been our practice in the past to just give common consent if there's no objection. And I feel that if a member of this board feels that he has a conflict of interest within himself, then he should have the opportunity to abstain from it. And that's why I would support the motion. If Billy feels that he has a possible conflict of interest, then we should give him that, grant him that right to abstain.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly.
Well,
if there's no further discussion.
Well, just let me say that I disagree with that. I mean, I respect Mr. Yow for stepping up in there, but what it does, it just makes him easy not to have to make a decision where he's getting business. And I think as commissioners, that we have to be willing to make hard decisions, even if we have, you know, business interest in things, as long as we report it. And this is no reflection on Mr. Yow. I think he's doing the right thing to bring it out. I think he has an obligation to vote, though, and of course, the board will determine that, and it looks like the majority probably won't agree with me, but that's my point that I was making, Mr. Yow.
Mr. Chairman, just for point of clarification, if I forwarded myself on this motion, it would be a no vote. I think there's no question. I voted against the policy. It would be a no vote, but we just went through ethics training, and it is the responsibility of each one to let the public know what their financial interest is. And because I have worked on this project and could potentially work on this project again, I think that it is the proper thing to do to let the board decide if they want me to participate in this or not, because the liability will fall back on the board.
Well, I appreciate that, and I think if you're doing work and you voted no, that will certainly show your ethical standards. But to step back, I mean, who knows?
The clerk will open the vote. The motion before us is to release Mr. Yow from consideration, from vote.
Commissioner Davis?
Billy, you might need to vote on this, too.